I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot, I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of a presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. Welcome Black, welcome Black, welcome Black, B1AG family. Welcome to B1AG, the Daily Bread Podcast. I'm John Henry Harris. We also have Farmer Brown, the MC. Here at B1AG, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to agriculture production, education, marketing, health, food, nutrition, and economics, all for the Black family and the Black community. Welcome. It's Monday, start of a new week, new reach. I hope we continue to stay in a growth mind state and expand your reach, whatever field you're in, expand your reach in abundance, prosperity, most of all in love. Today we have a great story for you that we're going to talk about. Well, I wouldn't say a great story, but we do like to hear B1AG. We do like to keep you abreast of what's going on with our Black farmers and the continuous, it seems like just a lot of obstacles that are being placed in their way. And we definitely would like to get the word out about the plight of our Black farmers, because at the end of the day, it affects how we eat, and if it affects how we eat, it affects how we grow. Today's story is called Kick the Can. Florida judge blocks the Black farmers' debt relief. Farmer Brown, it's a serious talk today, but let's get through it, bro. What do you have to say?
First, I'd just like to say peace to the B1 family. Hope everybody's doing well, in a growth state of mind. So here at B1AG, we want to be real codified. We don't want to lend anything to our opinion. We don't want to lend anything to conjecture. And so when we talk about the USDA, that's the United States Department of Agriculture, and from their mouths, their mission statement is maintain a strong, appropriate safety net for American farmers, ranchers, and growers. This includes assistance to struggling industries. We can think of a lot of struggling industries. Disaster assistance. This will be your weather, crop insurance. Okay, so, if you've sold some bad seeds or your operation didn't work as well, provide technical assistance, access to credit, and help producers implement conservation practices. That sounds utopian. It sounds, like a great service per your taxpayer dollar. When we have these conversations, I want the B1 family to understand that with all of these altruistic, wonderful purposes for the United States Department of Agriculture, a lot of the times what we call Black farmers, melanated farmers aren't reaping the benefits of your tax dollar. One of the reasons we continuously have this conversation, it seems redundant, but until there are some action items that actually support these melanated farmers, we got to keep the record spinning because they're getting denied. This story that we're going to talk about today, it's not a new story, but once again, this is updating from what happened earlier with the debt relief bill. And so I look forward to digging into this conversation and really trying to figure out, as concerned members of the community, as conscientious observers, as members of the agricultural community, what are some codified approaches to addressing this if we see that the tax-funded agency who is tasked with addressing this is kicking the can down the road.
Okay, B1AG family, just to give you a little update and just give you a little contextual information about what we're talking about, I'd like to show you a news report from CBS that actually talks about the Florida judge, which was the second judge to block this congressional law ruling, to give these black farmers this $4 billion in relief. The Congress passed it, but it's getting tied up in the muck as far as with the courts. So check this out, family, and then just give you some background information about what's going on.
Multiple legal challenges have halted a debt relief program intended to correct a history of racial discrimination against black farmers. The Emergency Relief for Farmers of Color Act was passed by Congress this spring as part of the American Rescue Plan. It would provide $4 billion in loan forgiveness from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The act also lays out an additional $1 billion for grants and college scholarships for farmers of color. However, U.S. District Judge Marcia Morales Howard sided with a white farmer from Florida who sued to stop the program. She acknowledged the history of discriminatory behavior against black farmers, but wrote, Congress must also heed its obligations to do away with governmentally imposed discrimination based on race. That injunction is one of several seeking to prevent these funds from getting into the hands of black farmers. I want to bring in John Boyd Jr. now. He is the founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association and joins me from Boynton, Virginia. John, welcome. Great to have you with us again here on CBSN. Now, you have said that you will fight this decision all the way to the Supreme Court. Tell us why you believe this money from Congress is legally justifiable, and what do you say to those who are challenging the law?
Well, basically, this is a real setback for black farmers, and farmers of color at planting season. And a few things I would like to clear up. This is not money for black farmers and farmers of color. This is debt relief at USDA, and you have to have a guaranteed loan or a direct loan. And what white farmers are doing in this country is suing black farmers is a continuation of what we've been enduring in this country for many, many decades. A continuation of Jim Crow and sharecropping and all of these things, where it looks to me as white farmers want all of the money and all of the resources instead of sharing with other ethnic groups, in this case, black farmers. And it looks as though every time we try to get some redress from USDA, we're having to wait. So I've reached out to President Biden to discuss this and to see what the administration may be able to do. These white farmers are filing these lawsuits in very, very conservative courts around the country, Florida and Wisconsin and Texas, where we don't think we're going to get a fair share in those very, very conservative courts in this country. But we're going to continue to press on. But people need to know that the National Black Farmers Association needs your support right now. It costs money to fight these cases and all around the country. And so far, we've been meeting all of these deadlines and raising the issue of historic and continued discrimination at the United States Department of Agriculture. And one thing these judges haven't done is really acknowledge the discrimination that we still face today as black farmers and farmers of color. So this isn't discrimination that happened 10 and 20 years ago. It did, but the discrimination also continues today, and the courts are not looking at those very, very important issues as well.
And you say you just recently reached out to the Biden administration. Did you receive a response?
Well, I'm supposed to go to the White House on the 4th of July, but not to talk about this. And I'm hopeful that the administration, in this case, President Biden, will hear my plea to sit down and speak to him about this. It looks as though if Secretary Vilsack had moved more swiftly to get the payments out to blacks and other farmers of color, the actual debt relief itself, we wouldn't be in this predicament right now. So here we have the banks that came out against this measure, that didn't want to work with black farmers by somehow saying if we got these monies, it would be hurtful to banks. And now you have white farmers who are saying we're causing them harm in some sort of way. if we get debt relief at the United States Department of Agriculture. In all reality, it's been white farmers who have been getting the debt relief the whole time. That they've gotten $500 billion, white farmers, in the U.S. Farm Subsidy Program. Almost all of the direct loans and rural development loans and all of these loans at USDA have went to large-scale white farmers in this country. So my question to them is, well, how many times are you going to get? And they don't want to talk about that. So how can we have racial healing in this country if first white farmers don't want to admit that we've been discriminated against by the United States Department of Agriculture? We need to sit down and have a real discussion in this country, because we're living in two Americas. One in rural America, where you have the rebel sign and all of these are flags that sit higher than the United States flag, and they look like to me, white farmers. And then you have black farmers like myself who just want to be treated with dignity and respect and walk into the local county office and be able to attain these services here in this country. And people, that has not been happening in a fair and equitable manner. And all of the numbers support that statement.
John Boyd Jr., thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
So maybe through the auspice of agriculture, farming, this antiquated view that many of us in the melanated community have of agriculture, let's put it in a sports context. Okay, so, I'm not big on gambling, but I understand, okay, you have a winning team and you have a losing team. So there's a Super Bowl, big game, two of the best teams, two of the best competitors within this game end up at this grand game of either somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And so, it's fair for any individual to place their bets on one end. As melanated family, I would say bet on Team Black when it comes to agriculture, right? As far as being able to get out on the field and play and produce. Well, you get to this Super Bowl and, the other team wins. The green team wins, right? I bet it on Black, my team lost. But then 2 weeks later, the commissioner comes out and tells you, we found out that the green team cheated. The green team had a camera on the black team side, and they found out all the plays. And so they were able to stop, every play that they were going to run before they ran it. As somebody who lost money placing a bet, you'd be pretty pissed off about that. You'd be like, now, hold up, Commissioner, you just found out that the team that, got the championship trophy cheated. Now, what are we going to do about it? And so the commissioner comes back and says, well, yeah, they did cheat. Everybody who won money based on, the green team winning, even though they cheated, well, you can keep your money, and it's illegal for you as a loser to say something. That would be discriminatory. We should have the winners and losers being able to benefit from the green team winning, even if they cheated. I hope that makes sense to the family, and that's, one of the most simple ways I can put what's going on right now with what we call black farmers, melanated farmers in North America. It would be one thing if, like with the reparations conversation, it's a constant thing. Well, we need to research this. We need to do the math. I've heard up to 17 trillion, 23 trillion. Okay. But when we're talking about farmers, we know there's 1.9 billion acres of land. Of that, back in the 1920s, black farmers had 15 million of that. We're down to less than a couple 100,000 acres of land. This is for a whole group of people. Out of the 3.5 million farmers in North America, only 1.4%, between 40,000 are melanated farmers. The bill that he was talking about, the Farmers of Color Act, that was only going to give debt relief, not money, but debt relief for a few thousand farmers when you put it on the total spectrum of who qualified for it. So once again, if you can't understand the frustration, even if you don't understand agriculture, you understand there's a food production process. Food doesn't just pop up on shelves. It doesn't just pop up through a drive-through. Somebody has to grow all of the products that we consume, whether it's the meat, whether it's the fruits and vegetables. Somebody has to consume it. Economic, entrepreneurial-minded people understand, wow, there's a population of 390 million people just here in North America, and one thing that all of them have in common is they have to eat. The majority is going to eat at least 2-3 times a day. On these Super Bowl, on these special days, they're going to eat more. So you can imagine that there's a huge bag for anybody that can supply these meals. How are these meals supplied? It's supplied through production of food. Well, what is the production of food? Agriculture. Not just food, but fiber and fuel as well. And so when you represent a group that at one time I was providing 15% of this, not only did my ancestors do this for free for X amount of years because, bad business dealings, but, even after the so-called slavery concept was over, we were still 15% of the producers. This was in the 1920s. So now we find ourselves in 2021 with this same group, this team that got beaten, and there was proof that the team that won was cheating. The same group can't get any help. And so when we talk about this concept of kicking the can down the road, it wouldn't be as frustrating if the commissioner didn't come to me and tell me, oh yeah, the green team, the winning team cheated. I got to be very particular in saying winning team. This is winning according to a falsified game. Did a team win if you didn't really play the game how the game is supposed to be played? Once again, as consumers, as somebody just watching, okay, I can see how it doesn't, get under your skin. But you imagine the few melanated farmers that's left. The majority of melanated people in North America, we have agricultural roots. At least 3 generations back, we have somebody within our family that was in the food production system. Because before there was an Amazon, before there was a Walmart, the basic products that were being traded amongst human beings were food, fiber, and things that kept us warm, things that gave us a quality of life. And so when you understand our ancestors had a big part of that, when we talk about the Black Wall Streets and the many other Black towns that we typically don't hear about, one of the key cornerstones of their success was their ability to produce for themselves. So this is why this presents a problem as we're in the age of really discussing reparations, bringing it as a public discussion. This is how your government responded to this. Oh, well, yeah, we did y'all wrong. We're actually going to give y'all something. It's like the commissioner saying, okay, everybody that lost money on this game because you betted on the team that got cheated on and lost, I'm going to give y'all some of y'all's money back. And so for a while, and this is what this farm bill was. So for a while, you had X amount of farmers like, cool. Or X amount of bettors, gamblers like, okay, cool. I'm going to get some of my money back because y'all was wrong. I should have won something, or the odds would have been different had this game been played fair. And then and you're sitting back waiting. You telling the wife, you telling your friends, whoever you owe money to because you lost this bet, because you was betting on the sure bet, right? Okay, yeah, it's coming. Yeah, the commissioner said, because they figured out they did the investigation that the other team cheated, they're going to give some money back. And so now what you're doing is building up more debt to all of the people you owe money to after this commissioner told you, the commissioner said he's going to give me this money back. So as soon as he give me money back, I'll give it to you. Only for the commissioner or somebody under the commissioner to say, oh, well, that would be discriminatory to have the winner, only have the losers be able to get this money back. Because see, then we're going to have to give it to some of the winners who lose money if we give it to the losers. Do you see how confusing this is? And it sounds confusing, but this is the essence of what we're dealing with, family.
I know I would like to say to a melanated family, the B1AG family, look, this is another example of how white supremacy works in this country. This is another example of how racism works in this country. This is another example of why the reparations talk is so important. We don't realize, a lot of people don't realize how extensive the reach of racism is. Like we can see racism and white supremacy when we're talking about social justice issues. A white officer killing an unarmed Black individual. We can see that. And that gets played ad nauseum to us throughout, the news cycle. However, it also reaches into our food and it's not talked about. But it also, and that's why B1AG exists, because we need to shine a light on this, because a lot of people don't realize how discriminatory our food system is. A lot of people don't realize, hey, I'm really, when I go to my store and my zip code, I'm not really getting the best food available because they're shipping it to this other zip code where non-melanated people live. Our farmers are dealing with obstacles that non-melanated farmers have to deal with. and it affects us all. And when we're talking about reparations and getting, you know, our justice in this country, it involves agriculture too. And really it starts with agriculture, because this is how wealth is attained, through land. You know, this is how generational wealth is attained and passed on to our people, to our future, to our progeny, is through agriculture, through land acquisition.
Look at this. And so when you say USDA, you can erase that word and just say governing body, right? As above, so below. The USDA is just an appendage of the governing body. It is responsible for overseeing farming, ranch, and forestry industries, regulating food quality, safety, nutrition labeling, administering social services such as social welfare programs, free lunch, and SNAP and WIC, right? And so when you look at what's happening on the production side of this relationship, production being the people who are growing the food, and I'm hoping the family's understanding what we're trying to say. If you're seeing this type of discrimination for the people who are doing the honorable, righteous task of producing, see, most farmers I know personally, regardless of color, they don't deal in all of that. They deal in, I'm good at growing this, I have the means, I have the know-how, I have the skill set to grow this, and I want to find somewhere to sell it. And so if you see that this discrimination exists on the production layer, and the thing is, U.S., the government benefits from just a productive community, right? Just recently, Biden, they passed a bill for about $500 million for meat and poultry processing. The goal is, hey, we want to make people more competitive. We want to build back better. Google the concept of build back better. So we want to make them competitive by making this money available for the meat processors. And that's cool. That's cool. As somebody that understands agriculture, it's like, hey, that, you know, that's a win. But as a melanated person, it's like, oh no, now how many melanated farmers, black farmers, are going to benefit from this $500 million? Because we saw with the COVID relief, like 98% of it didn't go to melanated farmers. It went to everybody else. But how does this, you know, so maybe you're not into farming, but you know somebody, or you work through a program that's responsible for divvying out food that's produced by a farmer. The quality of food. Do you think you're going to get an equitable quality of food when you're dealing with something that would deal with the people who are producing in this manner? Right now, we're asking questions. What does Elder Nilly Fuller say? You get answers by asking questions. Is the way that your food quality, you know, determined if the same agency who's handing out or saying that they're passing these loans, giving this debt relief, giving this help, if the same agency is I'm going to say bungling, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're just bungling it because we've been just used to helping only the white farmers for so long. We don't know how to help the black farmers. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? But even if you don't know how to benefit the black farmers, do you continuously make it rain on everybody else while you're trying to figure out how to help this group that actually built the wealth of this nation? We got to ask some questions. Do you trust this faction when it comes to SNAP, the food that you're allowed to get with SNAP benefits? Do you trust the food quality inspection when it comes to the food that you find in your zip code? If there's not a basic respect for those who are producing.
I know my personal frustration comes in because I see the pattern. It's not like they're running different plays, y'all. They keep running the same play. That's why we call this kick the can. You know, they came out with this farmers of color bill. Great. I'm talking about so many stories, positive, glowing stories. Yes, reparative justice. And then, we're going to give this debt relief to these farmers because they faced discrimination. We know this. We're admitting this. Yeah, we're going to pass this for our farmers of color. Then they include other people who did not face the same discrimination that these farmers of color did and was the whole reason for the bill. Okay, then you have a group of farmers in Wisconsin who say, hold up, that's discriminatory for giving them debt relief based on color. They were getting this debt relief because they were shorted. This was supposed to be reparative. Then you get the banks that come out and say that no, we're not going to work with that. We get pushback from the bank saying that we're not going to give these black farmers any more credit. And matter of fact, relieving their debt, you're shorting us. And now it's like, that's why I say kick the can. It's like they say they're going to do something, and before they do it, they just kick the can to somebody else.
So Kirsten Gillibrand, she's out of New York. This is a senator out of New York. And so she introduced a bill, one-time loan forgiveness of up to $250,000 for all small farmers. She introduced this shortly after the bill for minority and black farmers was introduced. And her concept was, well, we're helping this group, but we don't want to leave out anybody. I want people to take what we're saying and apply this to the whole reparations conversation. Bob Johnson spoke out about this. He was just talking about how people need reparations. He spoke about how this same bill that we're talking about, it was aesthetic. It was an aesthetic win. It was cool for headlines. It was cool to kick the can down the road, keep y'all folks off of the ball for a couple more months while we further screw this screw of immobility in place. Because family, every day that passes that we're not, lifting our voices, at least it's showing concern about what's going on with these farmers. What do you think is going to happen for those of us that don't own farms or those of us that aren't producing anything? The farmers represent, and it's not saying it in a romanticized way. These are owners. These are landowners. These are business owners. These are producers. And so, when we're talking about reparative justice, what kind of leverage? We're talking tangibles now. Take emotions aside. What kind of leverage does a consumer have if the producers are getting the business like this? We were talking about the backs that thing up and, all of these other things going on. And I'm deviating away, but not. I mean, you think about the last few weeks, we've been talking about how the music awards and all of these things. I think the brother Michael B. Jordan tried to start a rum company and, appropriate. We have all of these menial things. And when I say menial, it's not to, denigrate somebody's stance or belief, more so than looking at the bigger picture of what's going on around us. If somebody is watching and somebody is like, man, these black folks, I mean, some of them are woke, but the amount of them that just can be confused just by me moving my finger in ratio compared to those that are woke, hey, I'm going to just keep playing to those that'll keep this confusion going. So saying that to say with this farm bill and what these judges, not just Florida, but what I think the other one was Missouri, and it was brought up from some people out of Wisconsin. What they're learning by watching is that all you got to do is just keep distracting them, give them a headline or two, give us 3 months. Headline or two, give us 3 months. And this is becoming predictable. The elder John Boyd, I don't know how many interviews of his that I've watched now. And this, I've never been fortunate to meet him personally. I would assume, that my path at some point will cross his. But I can only imagine, I can't imagine what he's dealing with. And he's trying to be very calm about it. He's trying to be, diplomatic about it. But you can only imagine the commissioner say, yeah, I'm going to pay y'all back because y'all lost millions of dollars betting on this team. And you found out later that they were cheated on. How are you going to feel about that?
Especially when real land is being lost, real monies and family legacies are being lost. Food is being lost. At the end of the day, because this is what always tripped me out about racism and things like that. It's like racism is so stupid that because when you intentionally try to stop a group of people who are really a part of you are essentially throwing monkey wrenches into the machine. Because the less productive you try to make them or this group of people or that group of people, you hurt the whole. The more productive everyone is in this country is better for the country. But they're so blinded in this racism and white supremacy that they'd rather take the doggone catalytic converter out of their own car. They'd rather flatten their own tires than to see those tires get some they get a little shine to them. They'd rather pour sugar in the tank than to see that car, get further down the road. And this car, I mean America.
You got to do a time analysis, a time and energy exerted analysis. Now, over the last, we'll just say 4 decades, 40 years, how much energy has been exerted on behalf of the Black producers and, people within the agricultural sector, the different cooperatives? How much time and effort has been put in trust, been put into the government to fix this issue? How many conversations and trust has been broken, asking somebody, hey, this is my grievance. These are some things that can be done. And somebody will come to you and say, yeah, I'm going to do it for you, and then not do it. How much time was wasted? How much money for lobbying, promote? I don't think we spend nearly enough promotion of just telling people about the plight of Black farmers. Because once again, a lot of times, if I'm in the city, what's that got to do with me? It's got everything to do with anybody that's an entrepreneur. It's got everything to do with anybody that wants, more than just a job. The agriculturalist, and I can't repeat this enough, is the original producer. It's the original trapper. It's the original hustler. Before there was a such thing as content to create online, before there was a such thing as even sports, before there was a such thing as anything that we're able to make money off of, somebody mastered the ability to produce food and distribute it. And so when we're seeing that, and this is why I say farmers are our strongest group of one of the strongest groups of individuals within our collective community. When we can watch this happen, because we're watching it, whether we scroll through it real fast or not, we're seeing these signs. And, I wonder how many of us are, just going back on our own personal time. Oh, remember they were going to pass that bill for $4 billion in Black farmers. I wonder if they got it. I wonder how many people are going to look into it and realize, oh, it wasn't just for Black farmers. I'm sitting there talking about, I want reparations for me, cut the check. But if I'm going to let this trick bag go over on the Black farmers for this minority of farmers of color, that's going to end up going to every other group, refugees, Native Island, Pacific Islanders, Hispanics. And it's not being disparaging of another group. This is being conscientious of your own group. And when we become what's the antipathetic of what's going on with, the broader whole of us, whether you see them day to day or not, that's still a part of our community. And when we're able to kind of look over or glaze over or not be conscientious of what's going on that realm, it's inevitably going to manifest on the local realm where we sit. Okay, maybe we're just consumers. But if I've locked this group of farmers out, guess what? In 2030, y'all have no choice. Y'all will have to eat this lab-grown meat or just go hungry if I don't want to give it to you. No, I'm not going to give you no business loans. No, I'm not going to put any extra effort in checking the quality of your food. What leverage do you have? What choice do you have? Y'all didn't support your own when they existed. Y'all sat and watched elders like Mr. Boyd, like Shirley Sherrod, Nuri Rashid. Y'all sat and watched them begging and pleading, hey, y'all, we need some help out here. We need to make it rain. I mean, we can do the work, but hey, the faction that y'all are paying y'all's taxpayer dollars to that's supposed to help us do this aren't doing this. And so it's only a certain amount of time that's going to go past before, okay, the responsibility lies in our hands. It's not to say everybody just got money to send and donate to, adopt the farm programs. But, everything starts with a seed. We have to plant the seed of concern. When we talk about our social justice, once again, if you can't feed yourself, nothing we talk about matters. And it's frustrating on my end. Day to day, I'm watching this. And last thing I'm going to say, okay, I saw that there was $1 billion allocated for scholarships. I was fortunate to be a recipient of an ag, food, and environment bachelor's degree, but I was an older dude. I was 30-some years old, because I had spent the majority of my life, pursuing entertainment and all of these other things. And the majority of students I was around didn't look like me. The ones that did look like me were from other parts of the diaspora. They wasn't from here in North America. What I can say is on average, and this is 2019, there were about 39,000 college degrees awarded in agriculture, 39,000. Of that 39,000 ag degrees awarded in agriculture in 2019, a little over 1,100, and this is national, a little over 1,100 went to melanated. When I say melanated, this is including the whole diaspora. And so, like I said, just all I can talk about is my lived experience. The majority of those of melanated persuasion who got these degrees weren't from here. And so, we keep hearing this concept of, oh, build back better, make America great. And this isn't disparaging any other group. What I can say about a lot of my classmates, they come from struggle situations. They have every right in the world to, go somewhere where their odds can be a little better. But what I'm speaking to is what I guess you want to call it the FBA family, the ADOS family. I don't know. But the melanated Browns here on this land, if total is 1,100, I will guarantee it's only a few hundred of melanated folks who's getting degrees in this field. And it's not to say that the only way to be functional in agriculture is to get a degree. But once again, okay, this group just said, hey, we're going to give this group 11 billion for scholarships, educational opportunities. If we're not preparing young people, once again, planting this seed that, hey, this is something important. This is something to pursue. Hey, young man, you want to play football? Okay, why are you playing football? Why don't you take up an agronomy course? Why don't you take up a botany course to learn how to make turf? Learn the sciences behind the soils on this field you play on. You interested in basketball? Hey, man, what if you get popular in basketball and happen to have a couple of $1 million to make it rain? Why don't you learn about agroforestry? Why don't you learn about producing the wood? Incorporate some science. Work with a sister that done gone in that wants to be a nurse, but she's really focused her nursing skills on, okay, I don't want all these men breaking their legs. Since we got all these people who want to play sports on this specific type of wood, I'm gonna work with my homeboy who's on the team but got a scholarship because he's also working on agroforestry, and we're gonna come up with a ankle break resistant wood floor, since we know so many of our people play on it. And I'm being funny, but not. Once again, I think Charles Barkley, of all people in the world, made a point. The people who are contracting doing the floors for all of the basketball courts in North America, whether you're talking about youth league, whether you're talking about high school, middle school, professional college, they're getting to a bag. The wood doesn't just come out of nowhere. Somebody has to grow it. And I bet they're not getting concussions. I bet they're not going crazy dealing with fans spitting on them. And it starts with the seed, family. And, stories like this, I could go on forever about this, but stories like this only remind us that, hey, we don't have a lot of friends out here. And even friends, dealing with the problem. So agriculture right now, being very specific, there's a resource depletion. We keep talking about the droughts, the soil being, degraded, land management and degrading and undervaluing farmland. And so we see that the tech people built, I think Bezos just jumped up as the richest man in the world, 200. And this is a point to think about also. There's one man on this world, Jeff Bezos, and I'm not pocket watching, has $211 billion. Do you realize like Bezos by himself has more money than all black businesses in North America combined? We throw that word king around. We throw that word I'm a boss around. Bezos didn't get that on his own. What did Obama say years ago? You didn't get that on your own. He got that by working with your people like Bill Gates, with your Warren Buffetts. And I'm not upholding these people as special, more so than even the richest people understand that there's a network that they got to operate within. My question is, can us as a melanated family, when we see all of these things, kind of starting to line up, what are the conversations we need to have, family? Who are the people around us that we reach out to? Media personalities are cool, but how do we apply some of this knowledge where we're at? People we know. Do we know people that are good at growing? They might not be the best business people in the world. They might not be the most sociable. They know how to grow. Are we mixing them with the hood stars? Are we getting the hood stars like, hey, bro, hey, sis, I want you to have a personal one-on-one tour of this growing facility. If you understand moving work, moving weight, hey, I got weight of carrots. I got weight of these fresh greens. Let me pick your brain a little bit, youngin, so I can figure out how to get these greens to the people, your grandmother, your mother, your father, your uncle, the people you care about. We got to have some non-conventional conversations, because this is a silent war. And I'll say that this is a silent war waged against black farmers. And if black farmers are the only ones defending themselves, having this conversation, it doesn't look good.
And one thing we can definitely do for ourselves in this fight, in this silent war, is definitely grow your own food. Get that ancient knowledge of how to grow your own food. Let's get black to the garden. Sign up at healthyblackfood.com and learn how to grow your own food. This is a very insightful, engaging, culturally relevant course. And you will learn how to grow your own food. We're planting these seeds now for the future. These growing your own food and gardening for yourself, it helps to bridge generational gaps. You know, it helps to build those generational gaps, because at the end of the day, for us to really see justice, for us to really see progress, we're going to have to work together. And that's across the world. We're all going to have to work together, but we need to start with ourselves. You know, we need to start with our own families first. You know, it's a lot easier to work with everyone else when you know how to work with yourself first. See what I'm saying? So go to healthyblackfood.com, learn how to grow your own food. Also, make sure that you subscribe to B1AG, the Daily Bread Podcast on YouTube. Just type B1AG Daily Bread Podcast in the search bar. Subscribe. We need to keep this conversation going. We need to keep this conversation growing. We need this conversation every day to talk about our food and what it means to us, because it does mean everything to us. Everything. Okay, Farmer Brown. You know, it's like I know when I was young, and you know, you had that game Keep Away. You know, you might have I'm a country boy, so, you know, I'm out here in South Georgia. You know, there's a lot of pine cones, so we might have to play Keep Away with a pine cone. You know, person has a pine cone, somebody's trying to get that pine cone, and you just toss it to other people while one person just keeps running back and forth like a crazed lunatic trying to get this pine cone or whatever. Keep away. And that's exactly the game that they're playing with this debt relief and also reparative justice for our black farmers. In the same game that they're playing with our black farmers, they're playing this with us, melanated peoples in this country, when it comes to reparative justice in this country for what is rightfully owed, for what was unjustly taken from our ancestors.
Perception is everything. If you perceive, oh, I'm just so glad to be here and thank you, Master, for letting me breathe, that's one thing. But if you realize, like, man, this was mine, and you took it, and okay, and you took it not because you just beat us up, but we were being cool, we were being nice, we were opening up the doors of what the Most High blessed us with, right? And so if you understand it as you have every right to this land as anybody else that occupies this land, you have a very different context in why supporting black farmers. Like I said, if I'm in the middle of a hood somewhere, okay, realistically speaking, no, I'm not about to hop on a tractor and start farming. If I ain't even around no green space, because we know there are cities around North America, there isn't no green space. There's so many other fields within agriculture. I think one of my biggest frustrations, I hate to come from a negative standpoint, is people, we really, not all of us, but not enough of us understand the gravity of how agriculture and production affects all of us, no matter where we are. Anybody that has a skill set, are you an artist? Are you a people person? Are you good with numbers? Are you good with technology? Are you good at cooking? Are you good at creating products, health products? Are you big into, healthy, natural products, lavender, herbs? All of these go into agriculture. We need industries, to keep it simple, stupid. We need industries that can make it rain on multiple entities per product. One of my homeboys got a sweet potato pie. He came out of nowhere. I doubt my bro Hashim has stepped a day on a farm but he understood coming from Jersey, like, hey, I got grandma's sweet potato pie recipe. I got access to a commissary kitchen. I know where to get some pie shells bulk. Holla at my boy, Farmer Brown did his label for him. I have a popping product now. I'm going to test it at, local vendors. And now people request this product, and I watched this process happen over about 4 months. This is somebody not on a farm, just in the city, realize, okay, there's something I know how to produce. There's people that will eat it. I need a container for it. I'm going to have to go through the proper process of making sure it's healthy and people aren't getting sick from my product. I'm going to get up with the hustlers, the people who sell things anyway. I'll give you a percentage of the sales of this sweet potato pie. Bro, you come up with this design and marketing strategy for me. I give you a percent, and we're all going to eat of this pie. And the more of these pies we can sell, the bigger our slice is. And we can apply this to everything that we consume as a family. Everything that goes in our body and on our body, somebody is producing.
So B1AG family, let's get to producing. Let's get to growing. Let's get black to the garden. Let's get black to the essence. Let's embrace this God-given right that we all have, and that's to grow something. Farmer Brown talked about a lot today. We hope that our audience really learned something. Hopefully we planted some seeds that will continue to grow, so that they can help come up with some of these solutions that will help, our community, the melanated peoples, and the world. I really believe that there are a myriad of social economic issues that can be handled. There's a myriad of social economic issues that can be solved straight through agriculture. So, Farmer Brown, if the people really, really want to know something, what do they need to do? What's the best way that they can really know something, Farmer Brown?
If you really want to know something, think production over consumption and learn how to grow something.
There it is. We'd like to thank you for coming and just chilling with us. Listen to another episode of Daily Bread Podcast. This is very important. We hope that you feel nourished. We hope you feel loved. It's a new week. Let's make sure that you get a new reach this week. Let's get further than we were by the end of the week than we were today. Grow on, love on, let abundance and prosperity chase you, and it will catch you. Thank you. We'll see you soon. The John Henry Harris, Farmer Brown MC. It's the B1AG Daily Bread Podcast. See you later.